Go. Okay, there we go. Hello. Hi, YouTube. Flashbang? Really? I'm sorry. Hello. Hello, hello. Okay. Hi, Sean and Puda over on YouTube. Yeah, if anyone from Twitch has the ability or inclination to open up YouTube in another window, then it really helps with watch time and such, and I really, really appreciate it. Hi, Duke. Hello, hello. Story time indeed. Indeed. Yeah, let's see. We are diving back into the Patchwork Girl of Oz and possibly finishing it. I'm gonna try. I hate a kiss. Hello, hello. Because wouldn't it be great if we could finish it tonight and then we could read something different next time? Look, it's just that L. Frank Baum is dropping a lot of L's and a lot of bombs, but you know, it's fine. Time to spam hearts. I love the hearts. I love the hearts. Also a few of the worried faces because it's Oz, yeah. And in fact, we are gonna be picking up with our bingo game. Now, if we are finishing the book tonight, which no promises, we've got 5 chapters left, so possibly we can, but that means this might be our last night to get a bingo. Let me pull this up for you guys. Come on. Let's... Hello? There we go. There we go. Now we are so close to several bingos. We're so close to a diagonal here. We're 1 away from a diagonal there, 1 away from a vertical, 1 away from a vertical, 1 away from a horizontal, and also 2 away from this horizontal, 2 away from this horizontal, 2 away from this horizontal, 2 away from this vertical. Like, we're so close. What's our reward? We will play marbles. Mobbies. So, yeah. Hi, Luna. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans. Yeah. Now, we were noting that since Dorothy joined the crew, she's been like the main character again, which I'm not happy about. Marvel suddenly invested in Oz. Yeah. Why'd you say it like that? Wait, which part? About Dorothy, because she's a twit, and I was preferring Ojo except for when he suddenly became a misogynist, but yeah, you know. Americans? No, I didn't say that in any... No, genuinely. Happy Thanksgiving to all of the Americans. I'm just specifying because not everyone in chat is American, including myself. So it's not Thanksgiving for us, so I'm specifying Happy Thanksgiving to the Americans. Hold up. Americans is not a derogatory term. I was not using it in that way. Oh, you're messing? Okay. Cool. Cool. Bro, you can't do that to me. In the last reading session, they went into the mountains they, sorry, no, it's okay, Luna. Usually I can pick up on people messing. I think I have, like, a genuine fear of, like, accidentally hurting someone's feelings, or, you know, like, and so I think I'm, like, a little, like, need to make sure that's not what's happening, but it's all good. You resemble that remark. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, Duke. They went into the mountains. They got past a giant who wanted to eat them. They made it past. They got to a cave. They are looking for the dark well. They need a gill of water from a dark well. A well that has never seen the light of day, and therefore water which has never seen the light of day. Anyway, that's what they're looking for. So, they went into a cave, and there are two peoples in there. Two races of fairy peoples. The hoppers, who have a singular leg underneath them and hop around everywhere and no sense of humor, and the horners, who have a horn growing from their forehead and have just a dumb sense of humor, and they're about to go to war, and our crew diffuses that, and then they're like, wow, everything's so beautiful on the inside of the houses in Hornerville. And they're like, oh yeah, it's all the radium. Radium's amazing. We make everything from it. And then they're like, do you have a dark well? And one of the Horner miners is like, yeah, I think there is one down in our glorious radium mines. Come on down. So we're about to go into the radium mines. I think we worked out this was maybe like 6 years. This was written maybe 6 years before the big, like, legal case of the radium girls, where they, like, really learned how disastrously toxic radium is. But this is just a squeak of time before that, when it was still just seen as this, like, really cool, glowing, cool material. Yeah, so that's just, there was that hilarious line, someone's like, how did you manage to do it, to one of the Horners, and he's like, I don't know, perhaps it's the radium, but I rather think it's my splendid intellect. Interesting little glimpse into a window of time. Oh really, DJ? We will get to that. Okay, I know you've been requesting that book for a long time. I want to be clear, I'm not ignoring you. Yeah, we will get to that for sure. The horrors of the art. Oh yeah, the art in these books is just nightmare-inducing for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna hide the bingo board. If you are part of the Discord, I did post it on Tuesday. I posted it in the stream clips channel. So if you just scroll up a tiny bit, you'll be able to find it if you want to reference it. But I can bring it up between chapters and such. Okay. All right. Oh, should I pin something? Let me pin this comment on YouTube. So the pinned comment, both on YouTube and on Twitch, has a link where you can download this book totally for free, or open it in a browser tab if you want to read along with me. Hey Wheel, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Hades. Thank you. That's very kind of you. How someone managed to read these books and come up with the super cut down Hollywood version is amazing. Well, Melon, the Hollywood version is based off of the first book in the series. This is the 7th. And this is after L. Frank Baum lost his desire to write them, gained seemingly like a resentment about writing them, tried to finish off the series because he hated writing them so much, but then hit bankruptcy, and so this is him being forced to write them again because it was the only way he could, like, make money. The first book does not have... It's not nearly as weird. It's not nearly as shitty. It has, like, way less resentment in the tone. Just seeing his, like, a mindset kind of crumble as the series goes on is something, to be sure, that I was not expecting when we set out to read this series. So okay, all right. Only one movie and prequels. Actually, Return to Oz is a sequel. It's mostly based off book number 3, but kind of smushed together with book number 2. Yeah. And then there are lots of, like, reimaginings of the story. But, yeah. Okay. So we are on chapter 24. Ojo finds the dark well. They now followed Dixie to the farther end of the great cave, beyond the Horner City, where there were several round, dark holes leading into the ground in a slanting direction. Dixie went to one of these holes and said, "Here is the mine in which lies the dark well you're seeking. Follow me, and step carefully, and I'll lead you to the place." He went in first, and after him came Ojo, and then Dorothy, with the Scarecrow behind her. The Patchwork Girl entered last of all, for Toto kept close to his little mistress. A few steps beyond the mouth of the opening, it was pitch dark. "You won't lose your way, though," said the Horner, "for there's only one way to go. The mine's mine, and I know every step of the way." "How's that for a joke, eh? The mine's mine." And then he chuckled gleefully as they followed him silently down the steep slant. The hole was just big enough to permit them to walk upright, although the Scarecrow, being much the taller of the party, often had to bend his head to keep from hitting the top. "Hey, Will, thank you for gifting... Wait, for gifting 6 months? Am I reading that right? Am I reading that right? Gifted 6 months of tier 1 to Zen. Hey, Will. Dude, that's incredibly kind. Aw. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh my god, wait! To Hades was also a 6 months? Oh shit! I'm so sorry, I was reading, so I didn't closely read that. Also gifted 6 months of tier 1 to Hades. Hades, did you clock that? I didn't clock that at first. Oh my god! Hey, Will, that's incredibly generous of you. Hell yeah. Thank you so much. You'll definitely be getting name traces after the reading section. That is so, so nice of you. Oh my god. Well, Hades and Zen, you guys just have to stick around for the next 6 months, I guess. I don't make the rules. Okay. Appreciate them both for their contributions to the readings. Hell yeah. You feel their pain. God damn it, Berta. Okay. The floor of the tunnel was difficult to walk upon because it had been worn smooth as glass, and pretty soon Scraps, who was some distance behind the others, slipped and fell head foremost. At once she began to slide downward so swiftly that when she came to the Scarecrow, she knocked him off his feet and sent him tumbling against Dorothy, who tripped up Ojo. The boy fell against the Horner so that all went tumbling down the slide in a regular mix-up, unable to see where they were going because of the darkness. Fortunately, when they reached the bottom, the Scarecrow and Scraps were in front, and the others bumped against them so that no one was hurt. They found themselves in a vast cave, which was dimly lighted by the tiny grains of radium that lay scattered among the loose rocks. How magical. "Now," said Dixie, when they had all regained their feet, "I'll show you where the dark well is. Well, it's a big place, but if we hold fast to each other, we won't get lost." They took hold of hands, and the Horner led them into a dark corner, where he halted. "Be careful," said he warningly. "The well is at your feet." "All right," said Ojo, and kneeling down, he felt in the well with his hand and found that it contained a quantity of water. "Where's the gold flask, Dorothy?" he asked, and the little girl handed him the flask, which she had brought with her. Ojo knelt again, and by feeling carefully in the dark, managed to fill the flask with the unseen water that was in the well. Then he screwed the top of the flask firmly in place and put the precious water in his pocket. You miss why radium is so funny? It's more funny that, like, because we're aware now of how toxic radium is, and in fact they became aware of that, like, you know, like 5-6 years after this was written. So it's just this window of time where, like, it wasn't known that it was toxic, and so he's writing about it like it's just this very benign, beautiful thing. It's not that the radium itself is funny, it's like just an interesting little glimpse, you know. It's like when you like read or watch old things where people are talking about like how amazing asbestos is and everything should be made of asbestos, and you know, like it's just like this funny little glimpse. Yeah. There's radium gems in Conan Exiles that you can use for lighting. Their description says you rub them to light them up. Right, yeah. "All right," he said again in a glad voice. "Now we can go back." They returned to the mouth of the tunnel and began to creep cautiously up the incline. This time they made Scraps stay behind for fear that she would slip again. But they all managed to get up in safety, and the Munchkin boy was very happy when he stood in the Horner City and realized that the water from the dark well, which he and his friends had traveled so far to secure, was safe in his jacket pocket. And here's a picture of Ojo. Oh. Only imagine this scenario, but everything is pitch black and he can't see what he's actually putting his hand into. Yeah, this picture's fine, actually. Okay. Oh, that was the end of the chapter. Hell yeah, let's go. Chapter 25. They bribe the lazy quadling. "Now," said Dorothy, as they stood on the mountain path, having left behind them the cave in which dwelt the Hoppers and the Horners, "I think we must find a road into the country of the Winkies, for that is where Ojo wants to go next." How dare you write the butts in my YouTube chat. That's crazy. He should have licked his finger to make sure it was drinkable water. That's crazy behavior. Oh, man. You thought his entrails were spilling out at first? What? Oh my god. That's insane. Oh wait, I forgot to show this picture. That's them tumbling down into a pile. That's not a cuddle puddle I'd want to be a part of. And we've got this wonderful picture of Scraps. Every time I see a river, I have chills. Does that say river? Kind of looks like it's supposed to say Fiverr, but is cut off, but it's probably river. Alright, she doesn't like rivers. Okay. Well, is there such a road? Asked the Scarecrow. I don't know, she replied. I suppose we can go back the way we came, to Jack Pumpkinhead's house, and then turn into the Winky Country. But that seems like running around a haystack, doesn't it? Yes, said the Scarecrow. What's the next thing Ojo must get? A yellow butterfly, answered the boy. Well, that means the Winky Country all... Oh, wait, sorry. That means the Winky Country, all right, for it's the yellow country of Oz, remarked Dorothy. I think, Scarecrow, we ought to take him to the Tin Woodman, for he's the emperor of the Winkies, and will help us to find what Ojo wants. Of course, replied the Scarecrow, brightening at the suggestion. The Tin Woodman will do anything we ask him, for he's one of my dearest friends. I believe we can take a crosscut into his country, and so get to his castle a day sooner than if we travel back the way we came. I think so too, said the girl, and that means we must keep to the left. They were obliged to go down the mountain before they found any path that led in the direction they wanted to go. But among the tumbled rocks at the foot of the mountain was a faint trail, which they decided to follow. 2 or 3 hours' walk along this trail brought them to a clear, level country, where there were a few farms and some scattered houses. But they knew they were still in the country of the Quadlings because everything had a bright red color. Not that the trees and grasses were red, but the fences and houses were painted that color, and all the wild flowers that bloomed by the wayside had red blossoms. Wait, but in the Munchkin country, doesn't it say that the leaves and grass are blue? So why is it different in the other? Anyway. This part of the Quadling country seemed peaceful and prosperous, if rather lonely, and the road was now more distinct and easier to follow. But just as they were congratulating themselves upon the progress they had made, they came upon a broad river which swept along between high banks, and here the road ended, and there was no bridge of any sort to allow them to cross. Well, this is queer, mused Dorothy, looking at the water reflectively. Why should there be any road if the river stops everyone walking along it? Wow, said Toto, gazing earnestly into her face. Sorry, Toto just said wow? Is that supposed to be like a dog bark, like bow wow? Hi, General Rachel. Hello, hello. Just Toto doing like a sudden Owen Wilson. Wow. I don't know. They don't seem shocked by it, so I'm guessing it's just meant to be like a dog bark. That's the best answer you'll get, declared the Scarecrow with his comical smile, for no one knows any more than Toto about this road. Said Scraps.
Every time I see a river, I have chills that make me shiver, for I never can forget all the water's very wet. If my patches get a soak, it will be a sorry joke. So to swim I'll never try, till I find the water dry.
Try to control yourself, Scraps, said Ojo. You're getting crazy again. No one intends to swim that river.
No, decided Dorothy. We couldn't swim it if we tried. It's too big a river, and the water moves awful fast.
There ought to be a ferryman with a boat, said the Scarecrow. But I don't see any.
Couldn't we make a raft? Suggested Ojo. There's nothing to make one of, answered Dorothy.
Wow, said Toto again. I'm sorry, it's probably supposed to be a bark noise, but the idea of Toto just... Wow. And Dorothy saw he was looking along the bank of the river.
Why, he sees a house over there, cried the little girl. I wonder we didn't notice it ourselves. Let's go and ask the people how to get across the river.
A quarter of a mile along the bank stood a small, round house, painted bright red. And as it was on their side of the river, they hurried toward it. A chubby little man, dressed all in red, came out to greet them, and with him were 2 children, also in red costumes. The man's eyes were big and staring. As he examined the Scarecrow and the Patchwork Girl, and the children shyly hid behind him and peeked timidly at Toto. You guys are trying to make me break concentration. Do you live here, my good man? Asked the Scarecrow. I think I do, most mighty magician, replied the Quadling, bowing low. But whether I'm awake or dreaming, I can't be positive, so I'm not sure where I live. If you'll kindly pinch me, I'll find out all about it.
You're awake, said Dorothy, and this is no magician, but just the Scarecrow.
But he's alive, protested the man, and he oughtn't to be, you know. And that other dreadful person, the girl who is all patches, seems to be alive too.
Very much so, declared Scraps, making a face at him. But that isn't your affair, you know.
Oh, I've a right to be surprised, haven't I? Asked the man meekly.
I'm not sure, but anyhow, you've no right to say I'm dreadful. The Scarecrow, who is a gentleman of great wisdom, thinks I'm beautiful, retorted Scraps. Never mind all that, said Dorothy. She doesn't care that her friends are getting insulted. Tell us, good Quadling, how we can get across the river. I don't know, replied the Quadling. Well, don't you ever cross it? Asked the girl. Never. Don't travelers cross it? Not to my knowledge, said he. They were much surprised to hear this, and the man added, Oh, it's a pretty big river, and the current is strong. Well, I know a man who lives on the opposite bank, for I've seen him there a good many years, but we've never spoken because neither of us has ever crossed over. Well, that's queer, said the Scarecrow. Don't you own a boat? The man shook his head. Nor a raft? No. Where does this river go to? Asked Dorothy. That way, answered the man, pointing with one hand. It goes into the country of the Winkies, which is ruled by the Tin Emperor, who must be a mighty magician because he's all made of tin, and yet he's alive. And that way, pointing with the other hand, the river runs between two mountains where dangerous people dwell. The Scarecrow looked at the water before them. Well, the current flows toward the Winky Country, said he, and so if we had a boat or a raft, the river would float us there more quickly and more easily than we could walk.
That's true, agreed Dorothy,
and then they all looked thoughtful and wondered what could be done.
Low-key, thank you for the 100 biddies. Thank you so much. How you doing? This stream is sponsored by Wicked for Good.
Yeah, definitely.
Why can't the man make us a raft? Asked Ojo.
Will you? Inquired Dorothy, turning to the quadling. How is that his responsibility at all? The chubby man shook his head. I'm too lazy, he said. Alright, he knows his limitations. That's a hilarious answer. I'm too lazy, he said. My wife says I'm the laziest man in all Oz, and she is a truthful woman. I hate work of any kind. Making a raft is hard work.
I'll give you my emerald ring, promised the girl.
No, I don't care for emeralds. If it were a ruby, which is the color I like best, I might work a little while. Well, I've got some square meal tablets, said the Scarecrow. Each one is the same as a dish of soup, a fried fish, mutton pot pie, lobster salad, charlotte russe, and lemon jelly, all made into one little tablet that you can swallow without trouble. Without trouble? Exclaimed the quadling, much interested. Well, then those tablets would be fine for a lazy man. It's such hard work to chew when you eat. Well, I'll give you 6 of those tablets, if you'll help us make a raft, promised the Scarecrow. They're a combination of food which people who eat are very fond of. Well, I never eat, you know, being straw, but some of my friends eat regularly. What do you say to my offer, quadling? Well, I'll do it, decided the man. I'll help, and you can do most of the work. But my wife has gone fishing for red eels today, so some of you will have to mind the children. Scraps promised to do that, and the children were not so shy when the Patchwork Girl sat down to play with them. They grew to like Toto, too, and the little dog allowed them to pat him on the head, which gave the little ones much joy. There were a number of fallen trees near the house, and the quadling got his axe and chopped them into logs of equal length. He took his wife's clothesline to bind these logs together so that they would form a raft. Oh, she's gonna be pissed about that, man. And Ojo found some strips of wood and nailed them along the tops of the logs to render them more firm. The Scarecrow and Dorothy helped roll the logs together and carry the strips of wood. But it took so long to make the raft that evening came just as it was finished, and with evening, the quadling's wife returned from her fishing. The woman proved to be cross and bad-tempered, perhaps because she had only caught one red eel during all the day. When she found that her husband had used her clothesline, and the logs she had wanted for firewood, and the boards she had intended to mend the shed with, and a lot of gold nails, she became very angry. Yeah, no shit. Yaka no. Hello. Scraps wanted to shake the woman to make her behave, but Dorothy talked to her in a gentle tone and told the quadling's wife that she was a princess of Oz and a friend of Ozma,
and that when she got back to the Emerald City, she would send them a lot of things to repay them for the raft, including a new clothesline. This promise pleased the woman, and she soon became more pleasant, saying they could stay the night at her house and begin their voyage on the river next morning. Hi, Quantum Weasel. Hello. This they did, spending a pleasant evening with the Quadling family and being entertained with such hospitality as the poor people were able to offer them. The man groaned a good deal and said that he had overworked himself by chopping the logs, but the Scarecrow gave him 2 more tablets than he had promised, which seemed to comfort the lazy fellow. Firetech, thank you for the 10-stream streak. Thank you so much. How's it going? Alright, end of chapter. We are moving through it. I'm feeling more confident that we can finish this tonight. Chapter 26. The Trick River. Next morning, they pushed the raft into the water, and all got aboard. The Quadling man had to hold the log craft fast while they took their places, and the flow of the river was so powerful that it nearly tore the raft from his hands. As soon as they were all seated upon the logs, he let it go, and away it floated, and the adventurers had begun their voyage toward the Winky country. The little house of the Quadlings was out of sight almost before they had cried their goodbyes, and the Scarecrow said in a pleased voice, "Well, it won't take us long to get to the Winky country at this rate." They had floated several... Don't remind me of that line, Haedicus. You always mention as a co-working streamer with an fire tag. Well, it's always good to see you when you're able to be here. They'd floated several miles down the stream and were enjoying the ride when suddenly the raft slowed up, stopped short, and then began to float back the way it had come. "Why, what's wrong?" asked Dorothy in astonishment, but they were all just as bewildered. As she was. And at first, no one could answer the question. Soon, however, they realized the truth, that the current of the river had reversed, and the water was now flowing in the opposite direction, toward the mountains. They began to recognize the scenes they had passed, and by they came in sight of the little house of the Quadlings again. The man was standing on the riverbank, and he called to them, "How do you do? Glad to see you again. I forgot to tell you that the river changes its direction every little while. Sometimes it flows one way, and sometimes the other." They had no time to answer him, for the raft was swept past the house, and a long distance on the other side of it. "We're going just the way we don't want to go," said Dorothy. "And I guess the best thing we can do is to get to land before we're carried any farther." But they could not get to land. They had no oars, nor even a pole to guide the raft with. Why would they not have some sort of pole? They are so dumb. The logs which bore them floated in the middle of the stream and were held fast in that position by the strong current. So they sat still and waited, and even while they were wondering what could be done, the raft slowed down, stopped, and began drifting the other way in the direction it had first followed. After a time, they repassed the Quadling home, and the man was still standing on the bank. He cried out to them, "A good day! Glad to see you again. I expect I shall see you a good many times as you go by, unless you happen to swim ashore." By that time, they had left him behind and were headed once more straight toward the Winky country. "This is pretty hard luck," said Ojo in a discouraged voice. "The Trick River keeps changing, it seems, and here we must
float back and forward forever, unless we manage in some way to get ashore.
Can you swim?
Asked Dorothy. No, I'm Ojo the Unlucky.
Neither can I. Toto can swim a little, but that won't help us get to shore. I don't know whether I could swim or not, remarked Scraps, but if I tried it, I'd surely ruin my lovely patches.
My straw would get soggy in the water, and I would sink, said the Scarecrow. So there seemed no way out of their dilemma, and being helpless, they simply sat still. Ojo, who was on the front of the raft, looked over into the water and thought he saw some large fishes swimming about. He found a loose end of the clothesline which fastened the logs together, and taking a gold nail from his pocket, he bent it nearly double to form a hook and tied it to the end of the line. Having baited the hook with some bread which he broke from his loaf, he dropped the line into the water, and almost instantly it was seized by a great fish. They knew it was a great fish because it pulled so hard on the line that it dragged the raft forward even faster than the current of the river had carried it. The fish was frightened, and it was a strong swimmer. As the other end of the clothesline was bound around the logs, he could not get it away, and as he had greedily swallowed the gold hook at the first bite, he could not get rid of that either. When they reached the place where the current had before changed, the fish was still swimming ahead in its wild attempt to escape. The raft slowed down, yet it did not stop because the fish would not let it. It continued to move in the same direction it had been going. As the current reversed and rushed backward on its course, it failed to drag the raft with it. Slowly, inch by inch, they floated on, and the fish tugged and kept them going. Got like an old man in the sea situation going on here.
I hope he won't give up, said Ojo anxiously. If the fish can hold out until the current changes again, we'll be all right.
The fish did not give up, but held the raft bravely on its course, till at last the water in the river shifted again, and floated them the way they wanted to go. But now the captive fish found its strength failing. Seeking a refuge, it began to drag the raft toward the shore. As they did not wish to land in this place, the boy cut the rope with his pocket knife and set the fish free, just in time to prevent the raft from grounding. I feel like I would have been tempted to just use that as a way to get ashore and then walk the rest of the way, even if it's like a little slower at that point, because they've already said they have no way to get ashore. And here they all are. I feel really bad for this fish. The next time the river backed up, the Scarecrow managed to seize the branch of a tree that overhung the water, and they all assisted him to hold fast and prevent the raft from being carried backward. While they waited here, Ojo spied a long, broken branch lying on the bank, so he leapt ashore and got it. When he had stripped off the side shoots, he believed he could use the branch as a pole to guide the raft in case of emergency. They clung to the tree until they found the water flowing the right way, when they let go and permitted the raft to resume its voyage. In spite of these pauses, they were really making good progress toward the Winky Country, and having found a way to conquer the adverse current, their spirits rose considerably. They could see little of the country through which they were passing because of the high banks, and they met with no boats or other craft upon the surface of the river. Once more, the trick river reversed its current, but this time the Scarecrow was on guard and used the pole to push the raft toward a big rock which lay in the water. He believed the rock would prevent their floating backward with the current, and so it did. They clung to this anchorage until the water resumed its proper direction, when they allowed the raft to drift on. Floating around a bend, they saw ahead a high bank of water extending across the entire river, and toward this they were being irresistibly carried. There being no way to arrest the progress of the raft, they clung fast to the logs and let the river sweep them on. Swiftly, the raft climbed the bank of water and slid down on the other side, plunging its edge deep into the water and drenching them all with spray. As again the raft righted and drifted on, Dorothy and Ojo laughed at the ducking they had received. But Scraps was much dismayed, and the Scarecrow took out his handkerchief and wiped the water off the Patchwork Girl's patches as well as he was able to. The sun soon dried her, and the colors of her patches proved good, for they did not run together, nor did they fade. After passing the wall of water, the current did not change or flow backward anymore, but continued to sweep them steadily forward. The banks of the river grew lower, too, permitting them to see more of the country, and presently they discovered yellow buttercups and dandelions growing amongst the grass, from which evidence they knew they had reached the Winky Country. "Don't you think we ought to land?" Dorothy asked the Scarecrow. "Pretty soon," he replied. "The Tin Woodman's castle is in the southern part of the Winky Country, so it can't be a great way from here." And here, oh my god, this is a crazy picture. Look at the fish. They look like freaking dinosaurs. Fearing they might drift too far, Dorothy and Ojo now stood up and raised the Scarecrow in their arms as high as they could, thus allowing him a good view of the country. For a time he saw nothing he recognized, but finally he cried, "There it is! There it is!" "What?" asked Dorothy. "The Tin Woodman's tin castle. I can see its turrets glittering in the sun. It's quite a way off, but we'd better land as quickly as we can." They let him down and began to urge the raft toward the shore by means of the pole. It obeyed very well, for the current was more sluggish now, and soon they had reached the bank and landed safely. The Winky Country was really beautiful, and across the fields they could see afar the silvery sheen of the tin castle. With light hearts they hurried toward it, being fully rested by their long ride on the river. By and by they began to cross an immense field of splendid yellow lilies, the delicate fragrance of which was very delightful. "How beautiful they are!" cried Dorothy, stopping to admire the perfection of these exquisite flowers. "Yes," said the Scarecrow, reflectively, "but we must be careful not to crush or injure any of these lilies." "Why not?" asked Ojo. "Well, the Tin Woodman is very kind-hearted," was the reply, "and he hates to see any living thing hurt in any way." "Are flowers alive?" asked Scraps. "Yes, of course, and these flowers belong to the Tin Woodman, so in order not to offend him, we must not tread on a single blossom." "Once," said Dorothy, "the Tin Woodman stepped on a beetle and killed the little creature. That made him very unhappy, and he cried until his tears rusted his joints, so he couldn't move them." "What did he do then?" asked Ojo. "Put oil on them until the joints worked smooth again." "Oh!" exclaimed the boy, as if a great discovery had flashed across his mind.
But he did not tell anybody what the discovery was, and kept the idea to himself. We know what he's thinking. We know what he's thinking. The final ingredient that he needs is oil from the body of a living man. Hey, Chatty Maddie. Hello. And Tom Bird. Janie! Jane! Oh my gosh. Jane. Hello. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How's your vacation going? Oh my goodness. It was a long walk, but a pleasant one, and they did not mind it a bit. Late in the afternoon, they drew near to the wonderful tin castle of the Emperor of the Winkies, and Ojo and Scraps, who had never seen it before, were filled with amazement. Tin abounded in the Winky country, and the Winkies were said to be the most skillful tinsmiths in all the world. So the Tin Woodman had employed them in building his magnificent castle, which was all of tin, from the ground to the tallest turret, and so brightly polished that it glittered in the sun's rays more gorgeously than silver. Around the grounds of the castle ran a tin wall with tin gates, but the gates stood wide open because the Emperor had no enemies to disturb him. Today was wild? Really? What happened? When they entered the spacious grounds, our travelers found more to admire. Tin fountains sent sprays of clear water far into the air, and there were many beds of tin flowers, all as perfectly formed as any natural flowers might be. There were tin trees, too, and here and there shady bowers of tin, with tin benches and chairs to sit upon. Also, on the sides of the pathway leading up to the front door of the castle were rows of tin statuary, very cleverly executed. Among these, Ojo recognized statues of Dorothy, Toto, the Scarecrow, the Wizard, the Shaggy Man, Jack Pumpkinhead, and Ozma, all standing upon neat pedestals of tin. Bro, this sounds so horrible to me. He's like describing it as if it's this very beautiful place. It sounds awful. Can you imagine on a hot day and you like lean against anything? You wouldn't be able to sit on those tin benches. You'd burn your ass. Toto was well acquainted with the residents of the Tin Woodman, and being assured a joyful welcome, he ran ahead and barked so loudly at the front door that the Tin Woodman heard him and came out in person to see if it were really his old friend Toto. Next moment, the Tin Man had clasped the Scarecrow in a warm embrace and then turned to hug Dorothy. But now his eye was arrested by the strange sight of the Patchwork Girl, and he gazed upon her in mingled wonder and admiration. End of chapter. Cooking and family meal. Oh, right. Okay. Well, I hope it went well, Jean. Feel free to if you do want to hang out, no pressure to do any mod stuff because you are on vacation. Yeah, we've been like shipping the Scarecrow with the Tin Man, and now Scraps is here. But you know what?
That's okay, because we know that one of the books coming up soon in the series, potentially next, is about this Tin Man reconnecting with the Munchkin girl he was supposed to marry before he was cursed and started chopping all his limbs off. So they're just bros now. Okay. There's another bro. There's a bunch more. Yeah. Yep. Chapter 27. The Tin Woodman objects. To what? To the relationship? Ooh, is it drama? Here to get cozy? Sounds good, Jane. So good to see you. The Tin Woodman was one of the most important personages in all Oz. Though Emperor of the Winkies, he owed allegiance to Ozma, who ruled all the land, and the girl and the Tin Man were warm, personal friends. He was something of a dandy, and kept his tin body brilliantly polished and his tin joints well oiled. Also, he was very courteous in manner, and so kind and gentle that everyone loved him. The Emperor greeted Ojo and Scraps with cordial hospitality and ushered the entire party into his handsome tin parlor, where all the furniture and pictures were made of tin. We get it, you like tin. Jesus. Like, it's such a weird... Like, who wants to live in a world where everything around you is made of the same material you are? Can you imagine living in, like, a flesh house with, like, flesh furniture? I don't know. You want that? Okay, well. When tin is your whole personality. And look, even if we say, like, okay, leather, which by the way is not the same as just like flesh, but even if we say leather, okay, yeah, I have a leather couch. Can you imagine if, like, your walls and your floor and your ceiling and all your decorations, everything was leather? Leather statues of your friends. Oh dear. Also, they're going off about, like, don't even crush a flower because the Tin Man is so kind-hearted. He doesn't like seeing anything be harmed or killed. But, like, which book was it in where he makes friends with the Queen of the Mice? And then some beasties are, like, trying to attack them or something. And he's, like, totally on board with, like, the ferocious beasties being hurt. So, like, he is okay with certain living creatures being harmed. It's just, like, whether he thinks that they're worthy or not. Yeah, it's... like, leather is, like, even making it more palatable if it's, like, just, like, flesh. Oh, ew. And on a really cold day, everything, like your walls and your house and your floor and everything gets goosebumps. Oh, no. Oh, I just revolted myself. Go on, Badge. Okay, good night, put us like in with that. Fucking out of here. How is skin less creepy? Skin is more creepy than leather. You're so cozy. I'm sorry, Jane. Spouting off of the body horror. Alright. I just feel like he's overcompensating instead of letting himself grieve for the body that he lost. He's, like, really trying to convince himself that he's super into tin. Okay. The Emperor greeted Ojo and Scraps with cordial hospitality and ushered the entire party into his handsome tin parlor, where all the furniture and pictures were made of tin. The walls were paneled with tin, and from the tin ceiling hung tin chandeliers. Night, Buddha. Good night. The Tin Woodman wanted to know, first of all, where Dorothy had found the Patchwork Girl. So between them, the visitors told the story of how Scraps was made, as well as the accident to Mark-a-Lot and Unk Nunky, and how Ojo had set out upon a journey to procure the things needed for the Crooked Magician's magic charm. Then Dorothy told of their adventures in the Quadling Country, and how at last they succeeded in getting the water from the dark well. While the little girl was relating these adventures, the Tin Woodman sat in an easy chair, listening with intense interest, while the others sat grouped around him. Ojo, however, had kept his eyes fixed upon the body of the Tin Emperor, and now he noticed that under the joint of his left knee, a tiny drop of oil was forming. He watched this drop of oil with a fast-beating heart, and, feeling in his pocket, brought out a tiny vial of crystal, which he held, secreted, in his hand. Presently, the Tin Woodman changed his position, and at once Ojo, to the astonishment of all, dropped to the floor and held his crystal vial under the Emperor's knee joint. Just then, the drop of oil fell, and the boy caught it in his bottle and immediately corked it tight. Then, with a red face and embarrassed manner, he rose to confront the others.
"What in the world were you doing?" asked the Tin Woodman.
"I caught a drop of oil that fell from your knee joint," confessed Ojo.
"A drop of oil?" exclaimed the Tin Woodman. "Dear me, how careless my valet must have been in oiling me this morning. I'm afraid I shall have to scold the fellow, for I can't be dropping oil wherever I go."
Yeah, why does this make him seem like a panty sniffer or something? Like, it just seems icky. I don't know.
"Never mind," said Dorothy. "Ojo seems glad to have the oil, for some reason."
They all think he's weird.
"Yes," declared the Munchkin boy. "I am glad, for one of the things the Crooked Magician sent me to get was a drop of oil from a live man's body. I had no idea at first that there was such a thing, but it's now safe in the little crystal vial."
I don't like this picture. I don't like it. Why is he holding his axe? That's insane behavior. If you're like sitting in your living room with your friends, like, put down the axe. No, he doesn't have any human organs left. They're all gone. He's fully tin now. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Hi, Shay. It's fine. It's not okay. Yeah, what happened is that he was just a flesh and blood. I'm assuming Munchkin. I think he might have been a Munchkin. Which in the books are not shorter. They're just people. I think. And he was a woodsman, and then a curse was put on him so that he couldn't control his axe, and he like chopped off a leg, and then he like went to a tinsmith who made him a new leg made out of tin, and he chopped off the other leg, and he got a new leg, and then an arm, and he got a tin arm, and another arm. He got it like piece by piece. He dismantled his body and not once thought, I should change careers. Not once. He's like, Well, I guess I'll pick up the axe again today. And eventually he had every part of his body replaced with tin. And he was engaged to a munchkin girl, but then he just full-on ghosted her. Anyway. The Wicked Witch put a curse on him, yeah. Or maybe swap axes. He didn't know it was the axe that was cursed. He kept being like, gosh, I'm clumsy, I chopped off another limb. But like, bro, like that's when you start thinking like, maybe I should do something else with my life. If you think you're the problem, that you are the one just like chopping off your own body parts, do something else. God. Listen up, every horror writer, and take note. Yeah, the story of the Tin Man could be turned into a horror story for sure. Okay. Well, you are very welcome to it indeed, said the Tin Woodman. Have you now secured all the things you were in search of? Not quite all, answered Ojo. There were 5 things I had to get, and I found 4 of them. I have the 3 hairs in the tips of the Woozy's tail, a 6-leaf clover, a gill of water from a dark well, and a drop of oil from a live man's body. The last thing is the easiest of all to get, and I'm sure that my dear Unk Nunky, and good Mark-a-Lot as well, will soon be restored to life. Bro, the Tin Man is not gonna let you kill a butterfly and rip its wings off. 1. 2. Mark-a-Lot is not a good woman. She's not. Keep her a statue. The Munchkin boy said this with much pride and pleasure. Good, exclaimed the Tin Woodman. I congratulate you. But what is the 5th and last thing you need in order to complete the magic charm? The left wing of a yellow butterfly, said Ojo. In this yellow country, and with your kind assistance, it ought to be very easy to find. The Tin Woodman stared at him in amazement. Surely you are joking, he said. No, replied Ojo, much surprised. I'm in earnest. Well, but do you think for a moment that I would permit you, or anyone else, to pull the left wing from a yellow butterfly? Demanded the Tin Woodman sternly. Well, why not, sir? Why not? You ask me, why not? Well, it would be cruel. One of the most cruel and heartless deeds I ever heard of, asserted the Tin Woodman. The butterflies are among the prettiest of all created things, and they are very sensitive to pain. To tear a wing from one would cause it exquisite torture, and it would soon die in great agony. I would not permit such a wicked deed under any circumstances. Chilongo, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Ojo was astounded at hearing this. Dorothy, too, looked grave and disconcerted, but she knew in her heart that the Tin Woodman was right. The Scarecrow nodded his head in approval at his friend's speech, so it was evident that he agreed with the Emperor's decision. Scraps looked from one to another in perplexity. Who cares for a butterfly? She asked. Don't you? Inquired the Tin Woodman. Not the snap of a finger, for I have no heart, replied the Patchwork Girl. But I want to help Ojo, who is my friend, to rescue the uncle whom he loves, and I'd kill a dozen useless butterflies to enable him to do that. Fucking savage Scraps. The Tin Woodman sighed regretfully. You have kind instincts, he said, and with a heart you would indeed be a fine creature. I cannot blame you for your heartless remark, as you cannot understand the feelings of those who possess hearts. I, for instance, have a very neat and responsive heart, which the wonderful Wizard of Oz once gave me. So I shall never, never, never permit a poor yellow butterfly to be tortured by anyone.
The yellow country of the Winkies, said Ojo sadly, is the only place in Oz where a yellow butterfly can be found.
I'm glad of that, said the Tin Woodman. As I rule the Winky country, I can protect my butterflies.
Well, unless I get the wing, just one left wing, said Ojo miserably, I can't save Unc Nunky.
Then he must remain a marble statue forever, declared the Tin Emperor firmly.
Ojo wiped his eyes, for he could not hold back the tears. I'll tell you what to do, said Scraps. We'll take a whole yellow butterfly, alive and well, to the crooked magician, and let him pull the left wing off.
No, you won't, said the Tin Woodman. You can't have one of my dear little butterflies to treat in that way.
Then what in the world shall we do? Asked Dorothy.
Use your fucking magic belt that can do anything. Dorothy, I swear to God, you have a magic belt that can do anything. Or use it to, like, create a butterfly wing or something, you know? Like, how old is Dorothy? I don't know at this point. I don't know if she's a teenager yet. I don't think so. I think she's still a kid. So the bugs of Oz can die? I guess so. Yeah, they need a dead butterfly.
They all became silent and thoughtful. No one spoke for a long time.
Then the Tin Woodman suddenly roused himself and said, "We must all go back to the Emerald City and ask Ozma's advice. She's a wise little girl, our ruler, and she may find a way to help Ojo save his Unc Nunky." I swear to God, if they go back there and Ozma's like, "I'll use my belt," like when they were already there before. So the following morning, the party started on the journey to the Emerald City, which they reached in due time without any important adventure. It was a sad journey for Ojo, for without the wing of the yellow butterfly, he saw no way to save Unc Nunky, unless he waited 6 years for the crooked magician to make a new lot of the Powder of Life. The boy was utterly discouraged, and as he walked along, he groaned aloud. "Is anything hurting you?" inquired the Tin Woodman in a kindly tone, for the Emperor was with the party.
"I'm Ojo the Unlucky," replied the boy. "I might have known I would fail in anything I tried to do."
"Why are you Ojo the Unlucky?" asked the Tin Man.
"Because I was born on a Friday."
"Friday is not unlucky," declared the Emperor. "It's just one of 7 days. Do you suppose all the world becomes unlucky 1/7 of the time?"
"It was the 13th day of the month," said Ojo.
13? Ah, that is indeed a lucky number, replied the Tin Woodman. All my good luck seems to happen on the 13th. I suppose most people never notice the good luck that comes to them with the number 13, and yet if the least bit of bad luck falls on that day, they blame it to the number, and not to the proper cause. "Well, 13's my lucky number, too," remarked the Scarecrow.
"And mine," said Scraps. "I've just 13 patches on my head." "But," continued Ojo, "I'm left-handed."
"Many of our greatest men are that way," asserted the Emperor. To be left-handed is usually to be two-handed. The right-handed people are usually one-handed.
Well, and I've a wart under my right arm, said Ojo.
How lucky, cried the Tin Woodman. Well, if it were on the end of your nose, it might be unlucky, but under your arm, it is luckily out of the way.
Well, for all those reasons, said the Munchkin boy, I have been called Ojo the Unlucky.
Then, we must turn over a new leaf and call you henceforth Ojo the Lucky, declared the Tin Man. Every reason you have given is absurd, but I have noticed that those who continually dread ill luck and fear it will overtake them. Oh, I have noticed that those who continually dread ill luck and fear it will overtake them have no time to take advantage of any good fortune that comes their way. Make up your mind to be Ojo the Lucky.
Well, how can I, asked the boy, when all my attempts to save my dear uncle have failed?
Bro, you've had a... Okay, it's alright.
Hi, Moonstar. Hello. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back. How are you doing? Black Friday? I guess so. In my time zone, it's still Thursday. But... Never give up, Ojo, advised Dorothy. No one ever knows what's going to happen next. Ojo did not reply, but he was so dejected that even their arrival at the Emerald City failed to interest him. The people joyfully cheered the appearance of the Tin Woodman, the Scarecrow, and Dorothy, who were all three general favorites, and on entering the royal palace, word came to them from Ozma that she would at once grant them an audience. Dorothy told the girl ruler how successful they had been in their quest, until it came to the item of the yellow butterfly, which the Tin Woodman positively refused to sacrifice to the magic potion. He's quite right, said Ozma, who did not seem a bit surprised. Had Ojo told me that one of the things he sought was the wing of a yellow butterfly, I would have informed him before he started out that he could never secure it. Then you would have been saved the troubles and annoyances of your long journey. I didn't mind the journey at all, said Dorothy. It was fun. Well, as it has turned out, remarked Ojo, I can never get the things the crooked magician sent me for. And so, unless I wait the 6 years for him to make the powder of life, Unc Nunky cannot be saved. Ozma smiled. Dr. Pipt will make no more powder of life, I promise you, she said. I've sent for him and had him brought to this palace, where he now is, and his 4 kettles have been destroyed, and his book of recipes burned up. I've also had brought here the marble statues of your uncle and of Margalot, which are standing in the next room. She's a tyrant. She's a tyrant. Yeah. Just burning all his books. They were all greatly astonished at this announcement. Oh, let me see Unc Nunky. Let me see him at once, cried Ojo eagerly. Wait a moment, replied Ozma, for I have something more to say. Nothing that happens in the land of Oz escapes the notice of our wise sorceress, Glinda the Good. She knew all about the magic making of Dr. Pipt, and how he had brought the glass cat and Patchwork Girl to life, and the accident to Unc Nunky and Margalot, and of Ojo's quest and his journey with Dorothy. Glinda also knew that Ojo would fail to find all the things he sought, so she sent for our wizard and instructed him what to do. something is going to happen in this palace presently, and that something will, I am sure, please you all. And now, continued the girl ruler, rising from her chair, you may follow me into the next room.
So all the ingredients were pointless, and she could have just told them the last time they were at the Emerald City that she'd find a way to fix it. I don't even know what this is depicting. Them with flowers, but only their torsos. I don't know. Dorothy doesn't even have a full torso. She's only down to her armpits and then just disappears. I don't know. I don't know why they don't have lower bodies. I am unsure. Her hat is life. If you mean the one in the middle, that's Ojo. Dorothy's in the sunbonnet. Is the baby on a stem? No, that's the Scarecrow, Ojo, and Dorothy. And those are... I don't know if those are supposed to be the tin flowers or if those are supposed to be the red flowers that he's like, don't touch them. He wrote a whole ass fetch quest and he's just gonna hand wave it away. Yep. She's a bonnet like... I don't have a bonnet like that. I used to. And there's... What the fuck? Oh, that's Toto. I was like, is he tending to like a prickly shrubbery or something? Like, that's Satan. He's just opening up a creepy little wormhole. Wow. Oh God, okay. Chapter 28, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Oh, you like the feather transitions? Thanks. Thank you. I think this is the last chapter, right? To make your entire book a waste of time. Look, Frank's only goal with this book was to get out of bankruptcy. Aw, Jane, I'm glad you're here too. Chapter 28, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. When Ojo entered the room, he ran quickly to the statue of Unk Nunkie and kissed the marble face affectionately. I did my best, Unk, he said with a sob, but it was no use. Then he drew back and looked around the room, and the sight of the assembled company quite amazed him. Aside from the marble statues of Unk Nunkie and Margalot, the glass cat was there, curled up on a rug, and the woozy was there, sitting on its square hind legs and looking on the scene with solemn interest. And there was the Shaggy Man, in a suit of shaggy pea-green satin, and at a table sat the little wizard, looking quite important, and as if he knew much more than he cared to tell. Last of all, Dr. Pipt was there, and the crooked magician sat humped up in a chair, seeming very dejected, but keeping his eyes fixed on the lifeless form of his wife, Margalot, whom he fondly loved, but whom he now feared was lost to him forever. Ozma took a chair which Jellia Jam wheeled forward for the ruler, and back of her stood the Scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, and Dorothy, as well as the Cowardly Lion and the Hungry Tiger. The wizard now arose and made a low bow to Ozma, and another, less deferent bow to the assembled company. Ladies and gentlemen and beasts, he said, I beg to announce that our gracious ruler has permitted me to obey the commands of the great sorceress, Glinda the Good, whose humble assistant I am proud to be. We have discovered that the crooked magician has been indulging in his magical arts, contrary to law, and therefore, by royal edict, I hereby deprive him of all power to work magic in the future. This is like a witch trials. This is horrible. He is no longer a crooked magician, but a simple munchkin. Well, he is no longer even crooked, but a man like other men. As he pronounced these words, the wizard waved his hand toward Dr. Pipt, and instantly every crooked limb straightened out and became perfect. Okay, I take 2 issues. Baum is implying that crooked people are not people. And also, once again, that was someone making a decision for someone else about their body. You know, instead of being like, hey, we're gonna straighten you out. Like, obviously, I'd take him up on it. But, like, you don't just make that decision for someone. That makes Fal a munchkin. I'm pretty sure he'd be a quadling. Live in the red country. Is to lose my magic? Yeah, fuck that bullshit. Okay. As he pronounced these words, the wizard waved his hand toward Dr. Pipt, and instantly every crooked limb straightened out and became perfect. The former magician, with a cry of joy, sprang to his feet, looked at himself in wonder, and then fell back in his chair and watched the wizard with fascinated interest. The glass cat, which Dr. Pipt lawlessly made, continued the wizard, is a pretty cat, but its pink brains made it so conceited that it was a disagreeable companion to everyone. No, it fucking wasn't. Also, fucking Scarecrow is always bragging about his brains, and the Tin Man's always bragging about his heart. So what if the cat thinks her brains are cool and perfect? She is one of my favorite characters so far. So, the other day I took away the pink brains and replaced them with transparent ones. And now the glass cat is so modest and well behaved that Ozma's decided to keep her in the palace as a pet. Why do I feel like they just lobotomized that cat? Right? Like, that's what that feels like. Yeah. What the hell? Because she was, like, proud of her brains. This is so messed up. You could see them work. Oh my god. Okay. I feel like this isn't supposed to be a tragic line, but listen to her response. Ozma's decided to keep her in the palace as a pet. I thank you, said the cat in a soft voice. Oh, she's full on lobotomized. I'm so upset about this. I'm so upset about what the hell. Dude, Ozma and Glinda and the wizard are evil. They are evil. And also, listen, Glinda, if you're actually good, you don't need to put good in your name, okay? The only person who'd put good in their name is if they're actually evil. I think we've already ticked off that one, haven't we? Or have we not? Hold on. Glinda doesn't seem very good. Bro, bingo! Bingo! Bingo!
Glinda, you're not good. I thought everyone was evil except the Wicked Witches. I mean, the Wicked Witches might also be evil, but we got a bingo. Yup. Alright. Oh, it definitely feels gross, yeah. Okay. Does sussy mind control get ticked off? Ooh. Maybe? Oh, Sean is redeemed Marbies. Yes, we will be playing Marbies when we go back, once we're done reading. Okay. The Woozy has proved himself a good Woozy and a faithful friend, the wizard went on, so we will send him to the Royal Menagerie, where he'll have good care and plenty to eat all his life. They're putting him in the zoo. What the hell? He just got out of being locked up by the Munchkins. Calling it a menagerie doesn't change the fact that you're putting him in a cage. Much obliged, said the Woozy. That beats being fenced up in a lonely forest and starved. Like, yeah, it's better than that, but like, you let the tiger and the lion roam free and the sawhorse roam free. The tiger never stops talking about how much he wants to eat fat babies, and you let him roam free. Why are you putting the Woozy in the zoo? This is so messed up. As for the Patchwork Girl, resumed the wizard, well, she is so remarkable in appearance and so clever and good-tempered that our gracious ruler intends to preserve her carefully as one of the curiosities of the curious land of Oz. Why does that sound like they're putting her in a freak show? Scraps may live in the palace, or wherever she pleases, and be nobody's servant but her own. Okay, I'm relieved they're not making her go back to her slave master. That's all right, said Scraps. We have all been interested in Ojo, the little wizard continued, because his love for his unfortunate uncle has led him bravely to face all sorts of dangers, in order that he might rescue him. Well, the Munchkin boy has a loyal and generous heart, and has done his best to restore Unc Nunky to life. Well, he's failed, but there are others more powerful than the Crooked Magician, and there are more ways than Dr. Pipt knew of to destroy the charm of the liquid of petrifaction. Glinda the Good has told me of one way, and you shall now learn how great is the knowledge and power of our peerless sorceress. The Tyrant Witch of Oz. Yeah, but watch Margalot come back to life and be like, you can't take her, she's my slave. This story's been a book-assisted trepanation. It's so messed up. Hi, Jagged Planet. Welcome in. Hello. How are you doing? I know I'm interrupting like every sentence, but this is just beyond awful. Okay. Yeah, Mombi could have handled this, but she's not allowed to be a witch. Only Glinda is allowed to be a witch. Because if other people were powerful, then Glinda couldn't be sure to have such like an iron chokehold on the land of Oz. As he said this, the wizard advanced to the statue of Margalot and made a magic pass. At the same time muttering a magic word that none could hear distinctly. At once, the woman moved, turned her head
wonderingly this way and that to note all who stood before her, and, seeing Dr. Pipt, ran forward and threw herself into her husband's outstretched arms. Okay, have a good night, Moonstar. Thanks for popping in. Then the wizard made the magic pass and spoke the magic word before the statue of Unc Nunky of the old munchkin immediately came to life and, with a low bow to the wizard, said, "Thanks." But now Ojo rushed up and threw his arms joyfully about his uncle, and the old man hugged his little nephew tenderly and stroked his hair and wiped away the boy's tears with a handkerchief, for Ojo was crying from pure happiness. Ozma came forward to congratulate them. "I have given to you, my dear Ojo and Unc Nunky, a nice house just outside the walls of the Emerald City," she said, "and there you shall make your future home and be under my protection." "Oh, didn't I say you were Ojo the Lucky?" asked the Tin Woodman as everyone crowded around to shake Ojo's hand. "Yes, and it is true," replied Ojo, gratefully. The end. Yep. Yep. It could have been like a 3-chapter book. Yep. He's not a humbug anymore, but we know that he is not a strong person, as in not a person of strong moral fiber. He is the only other person in the entire land of Oz that Glinda is permitting to practice magic as her apprentice, and that he's only allowed to do things that she gives him permission to do. I don't know that Baum is trying to make this a thing. Like, I don't know if Baum is trying to make Glinda and Ozma seem evil. I kind of feel like that's unintentional, but holy moly, it really comes across like a borderline horror story. Like, they straight up, like, put the Woozy in a cage and lobotomized the glass cat, and Aniki, thank you for the 100 biddies. Magical fascism, yeah. Okay, let's take another peek at the bingo board. Not that it would get us a bingo, but I feel like Baum is a misogynist, like, should be ticked off. What do you guys think? Chart the death of the Wicked Witch of the West with Glinda very literally replacing her. Yeah, Glinda just didn't want any other, like, magic users around. We don't even necessarily know that it was, like, a Wicked Witch. Like, it's just that... I mean, okay, she wasn't great, but, like... was she worse than Glinda? Sussy mind control, I don't know if that can be used for the lobotomy. I don't know. Casual kidnapping. I mean, putting the Woozy in a cage, they don't give him a choice. They're not like, hey, you can stay here. Or, like, even
A, you can stay in our menagerie or you can go back home. No, they're just like, you're living in our menagerie. That's casual kidnapping. And Baum is so over this shit, I think is just like the whole book. Is the whole book. Which gives us a second bingo. So, I guess a second marbles game in the near future. Like, I don't think we can tick off the Wiz does shit magic anymore because he's doing real magic now. So we might have to change that one for future bingo boards because he's not a humbug anymore. They've completely forgotten about the love magnet. Yeah. Oh yeah, the lion and tiger are kind of pointless cameos in that they don't further the story at all. Yeah. Yeah, there's this picture. Why? Like, yeah, they're there, but they don't even have lines. Okay, yeah, that counts as a pointless cameo. All right. All right. Well, we got 2 bingos. It's a pretty full board. Oh, they totally could have saved them a trip. Yeah. Just fan service? Yeah, but aka pointless cameo. Pointless as in it doesn't serve the plot in any way. Like, even Jellia Jam at least is doing something, you know? She's like pulling up a chit, like she's involved. But the lion and tiger are literally just there for some reason. Yeah, I think the love magnet should also be changed. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, well. Huh. That was terrible. Like offensive on so many levels. You're gonna go eat. Okay, banana, thanks for hanging out. Now, we are not reading the next book next. I think, unless I hear from a bunch of you that you're like, please don't inflict more upon us, we probably will still read book number 8 at some point. Just because, like, it is kind of like watching a train wreck, you know? Yeah. But we need to spread them out. It's like small doses, you know? I get so upset. Do you blame me? It's horrendous. Personhood violations. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. So, honestly, I don't see us reading the next Oz book before the new year. Yeah. You want to see if Glinda becomes the new Wicked Witch? I feel like we would have heard of that, like, just as, like, lore, you know? Although most people don't even know that there's a series to these books, so. Oh, Daddy is hi. Hello, hello. But I feel like she will continue to be, like, more and more wicked in these, like, understated ways. I don't know. You know, like, in these, like, remember the last book, and they came upon the rabbit city, where all the rabbits were, like, living in this walled-off, enclosed city,
where they're all walking on their hind feet and wearing fancy clothes, and there's like a rabbit king, and they have like a royal court and everything, and then they admit to Dorothy that like they were wild rabbits just like living their life, but Ozma thought it would be cute to have a little funny little rabbit city, and so she magicked them into this and made them all wear clothes, but only white rabbits, because like she didn't like the aesthetic of brown rabbits as much. Like, that's just fucked up, right? But like on the surface, like it was supposed to be like, oh, look at this cute little city, and like Glinda thought we were cute, and so she put us in cute little clothes. But like that is really problematic behavior. Especially for like the creatures of Oz who can like speak, and yeah, it's wild. Anyway, well, there we go. We've had our angry outburst for the night. Thank you, L. Frank Baum, for letting me rage at you for a little bit, you horrible, weird little man. We will be coming back to reading on Sunday night. I'm going to be ending the YouTube stream in just a minute here. We will keep going on Twitch and playing some marbles on stream. But yeah, for reading, the next is on Sunday night, and we are going to return to reading more of the Adventures of Robin Hood that we started during our last Myth Monday, just this past Monday. So we'll be reading that on Sunday, yeah. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, YouTube, it's been great. If you enjoyed this, it would be really awesome if you wanted to like leave a like or subscribe or what have you, as we work to get this channel off the ground. That would be so amazing. And thank you for the 500 biddies. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Yeah, also this morning, chapter 4 of Carmilla was uploaded. Chapter 5 will go live, I believe, at 8 a.m. Friday, aka tomorrow. Yeah. And I will try to get the other chapters up quite promptly. But yeah, that's all. I'll see you on Monday, YouTube. Sunday, sorry, Sunday.